Today we will be covering decimal multiplication. This is going to have to be done longhand. What's different about decimal multiplication is that we don't need to line things up. That is only true for addition and subtraction. The other thing that I want you to focus on is to try to pick your lineup, the way we arrange this, intentionally and deliberately. What I mean by that is look at the numbers we're multiplying. So in 17, that's a 5.7 and a 3.67. 5.7 has two digits that are important. And by important, I mean that aren't 0. And 3.67 has 3. I always want to put the number with the least amount of important digits on the bottom of my longhand multiplication. So I'm going to do 3.67 times 5.7. And again, I'm not lining things up. Look right there, I didn't line anything up. By place value. Longhand multiplication. Okay, here we go. 7 times 7 is 49, carry the 4. 7 times 6 is 42, plus the 4 we carried is 46, carrying a 4 again. 7 times 3 is 21, plus that 4 is 25. Now we've used those 4, so let's get rid of them. And our second line must start with a 0. And we go through and multiply again. 5 times 7 is 35, carrying a 3 this time. 5 times 6 is 30. With that 3 is 33, so we have a 3, we carry a 3. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 that we carried is the 18 that I was about to say. Now, we can go ahead and add these. 9 and 0 is 9, 6 and 5 is 11, carrying a 1. 1, 5, and 3 make 9, 2 and 8 make 10, carrying a 1. 1 and 1 make 2. So our final answer will be comprised of the digits 20919. The question is, where does the decimal point go? And unlike addition and subtraction, it can't drop straight down. Look at this problem. They didn't even line up to drop straight down. So what's going on here? Well, hopefully you remember that with decimal multiplication, what we're concerned about in the final answer, once we know all the numbers that make it up, is how many decimal places were in the problem. So in 3.67, there are 2 digits after the decimal place. In 5.7, there is 1 digit after the decimal place, and that's 3 total digits. Which means I need to go 1, 2, 3 total digits after my decimal place in my final answer. 20.919 is the final product. Number 18 now. When we look at this, 0.7 only has one important number, the 7. The 0 doesn't matter with multiplication. The 9.6, 2 important numbers. So when I stack this up, I actually want to do 9.6 times 0.7. It's going to be the least amount of work. Now, yes, the decimal points line up here. It's coincidence, does not matter. It does not mean we're going to drop the decimal point straight down in our answer. We will still do the same thing we did the previous problem and count up the number of decimal places. But before any of that, we got to multiply. So let's see. 7 times 6 is 42, carry our 4. 7 times 9 is 63. With that extra 4 is 67. Now, how many decimal places in our problem? 1 and 2, which means we need 1 and 2 in our answer. 6.72. Now, from now on, I'm not going to underline the places in the answer. I'm just going to drop the decimal point in after we count them off in the problem. In number 19, 8.6 and 2.3 both have 2 important digits. So how do I pick which one to put top and bottom? It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to stick with the order they are in the problem, and that's 8.6 times 2.3. And 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 3 times 8 is 24, with the extra 1 is 25. Get rid of that. Start with a 0. 2 times 6 is 12, carry a 1. 2 times 8 is 16, with the extra 1 is 17. Now we can add those. 8 and 0 make 8, 5 and 2 make 7, 2 and 7 make 9. 1 doesn't have a partner, so it's just 1. There are 2 decimal places in the problem, so to put 2 in our answer, our decimal point needs to go between the 9 and the 7, 19.78. At this point, I have nothing new for you on numbers 20, 21, and 22, so I invite you to pause the video and have a shot at them, and come back to check. I'm going to do 3.5 times 0.4, because then I'm secretly only multiplying by 4. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, with the carried 2 is 14. 2 decimal places in the problem, 2 decimal places in the answer. 1.40. 4 and 0.5, they have an equal number of important digits. 5 times 4 is 20. There is a single decimal place in the problem, so a single decimal place in our answer, 2.0. 0.41 has 2 important digits. 10 has technically 1, but because that 0 is not after a decimal point, it's also not unimportant. So let me stack this up this way and just illustrate that technically our first line would be just 2 zeros, because 0 times 1 and 0 times 4 is 0. And then we have to do a second line that starts with a 0 before we do 1 times 1 and 1 times 4. Then we can add. And then we can count our decimal places. There are 2 of them. So we have 4.10 as our product. For the last 2 problems, you're going to be going, Mr. Noy, there are 3 numbers there. You can't multiply 3 things together. And you are correct. But you can multiply 2 together, take what you get, and then multiply it with a third guy. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with 1.6 times 1.1. Same rules as above. So 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1. Second line starts with a 0. 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 1 is 1. Throw some addition on here. We get 6, 7, 1. Get a decimal point in here. We have 2 in the problem, so we have 1.76. So now we have our 1.76 to multiply with the 3.3 that we hadn't yet used. 3 times 6 is 18, carry a 1. 3 times 7 is 21, with the extra 1 is 22, carry a 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Get rid of what we carried, start with a 0, and run the 3 again. We already know 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21, 22 with the extra 1, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus the extra 2 is 5. We already knew all that. Time to get our add-on. 8 and 0 is 8, 2 and 8 is 10, carry. 1 and 5 is 6, plus 2 is another 8. 5 doesn't have a partner. And there are 1, 2, 3 decimal places this time, so we have to drop ours in between the 5 and the 8. 5.808. Again, I invite you to pause the video at this point and try 24 if you like. Some slightly larger numbers here, but nothing too crazy. 6 times 8 is 48, carry the 4. 6 times 7 is 42, with the extra 4 is 46. Start with a 0. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 6 times 7 is 42. With the extra 4 is 46. Get our add-on. So it's going to be 8, 14, carry a 1, 11, carry a 1, 5, and 2 decimal places. So 51.48. 51.48 times 8.06. Okay. This could be a little dicey. 6 times 8 is 48. Carry the 4. 6 times 4 is 24. With an extra 4 is 28. Carry a 2. 6 times 1 is 6. With the extra 2 is 8. No carrying. 6 times 5 is 30. Get rid of those. Second line is all 0. So it starts with a 0, but then 0 times everything is 0. So we just get a whole big old string of zeros. Actually, I have to switch this middle guy out. Third line would start with 2 zeros, and now we get to multiplying with the 8. 8 times 8 is 64. Carry the 6. 8 times 4 is 32. With the extra 6 is 38. Carry a 3. 8 times 1 is just 8. But with the extra 3 makes 11. Carry a 1. 8 times 5 is 40. With the extra 1 is 41. Now we can get our add-on. We get 8, we get 8, we get 12. Carry a 1. We get 9, we get 4, we get 1, we get 4. And decimal place. Let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places in the problem. So if I come back 4 spots and drop in my decimal point, we get an answer of 414.9288.